So, for the last year, I've been working as a locum tenens physician for about a third of the month and spending the rest of my time as a real estate investor. And a few months ago, I published a blog post about the downsides of being a locum tenens physician. For example, as a locum tenens, you don't have as much job security, and you're away from your family, and you spend a lot of time alone. So, through my experience over the last year, I also understand the good side of being a locum tenens physician too, and I wanted to go over that because people who read that blog post might wonder, why am I doing locum tenens if it's just about the downsides? So today I just wanted to spend a couple of minutes going into the three good sides or good parts of being a locum tenens physician. I'll go through them in order of importance. And the first one is that there's a handoff system in place. And what does this mean? So I've written posts about this too, but when you're a physician, you get an onslaught of messages and lab values that you have to review every day. So when I was a full-time physician in Southern California, my institution actually did a study on this, and my specialty, urology, actually spent about 2 hours a day working on things like this. And these 2 hours were spent doing everything from going over patient messages to figuring out what to do about lab values and radiology results and finishing up notes and things like that. And that's 2 hours on top of your usual duties as a full-time physician. As a locum tenens physician, yes, you're responsible for taking care of all of these things during the course of your few days or week or however long you're doing a gig. But then afterwards, that onslaught stops. And I've written on my blog before about how I think that the onslaught of messages and results and everything is intrinsic to the electronic medical record system. And it's one of the biggest reasons that physicians burn out. As a locum tenens physician, by nature, there are processes in place whereby someone else will help take care of those things after you're gone, whether it's a mid-level or it's a next locum tenens physician. Once you're gone, you can put it out of your mind. And that's an incredible relief. So I think that's number one. There's much less non-clinical busy work that you have to do as a locum tenens physician, at least in my experience. Number two, locum tenens work is generally compensated more per hour than your work might be compensated if you're full-time. And this makes sense. It's a law of supply and demand. If some place like a hospital needs a locum tenens physician, they have more demand than they have supply of local physicians. So it makes sense that the pay rate would be higher. In addition, a locum tenens physician is usually traveling to the hospital, so there's a lot of inconvenience involved in that process. And this is one thing that I highlighted as a downside. As a locum tenens, you have to travel to the place. You're staying in a place where you're not familiar. You're usually in a hotel room and you're out of your element. So it makes sense that you're compensated more for that inconvenience. But the higher compensation also changes the calculus. You might not need to work full time if you're doing locum tenens. In fact, even though I'm doing about a third of the month as a urologist right now, the pay from the locum tenens work that I've been doing compensates me for approximately a year's amount of full-time work. So basically, you're much more efficient in terms of generating income as a locum tenens physician that you might be as a full-time physician. And again, the disclaimer is that this might differ from specialty to specialty. And finally, the biggest good part about being a locum tenens physician is that you are much more in control of your time. Now, I'm not talking about when you're on service because usually, locum tenens work is quite demanding. When I'm working locum tenens, I'm on call 24/7, and even if it's 2 in the morning, I might have to go to the ER to take care of an emergency or do surgery, and that is every day that I'm on the shift. But the big difference is that I have chosen that, and I am choosing to do that for a certain amount of time, and it is sequestered to that time. When I leave from a locum tenens week, I basically know that I'm going home, and then after I recover, that time is completely mine. I can spend it investing in real estate. I can spend it building our real estate syndication company. I can spend it doing social media and talking to you guys. And that autonomy is so important. And the lack of autonomy in full-time work is often the thing that leads to burnout. So by doing locum tenens work, you're much more in control of your time because you're choosing when and where to do the work. And for me, that is the most important. That is the biggest upside of locum tenens work for me. I feel so much more control of my day-to-day. So that's it. I just wanted to give a few upsides of locum tenens work because I've been doing it for a year. I'm going to continue doing it because I feel like it's a really great way for me to continue to practice medicine while still leaving time in my life for my other pursuits. Let me know what you think about all that in the comments below and make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks a lot.